Good evening. My name is Miss Lovett, Director of English and Literacy, and I would like to give you some information specifically for GCSE English, both literature and language. Just to point out that we are working to the EDUCAS specification for further information. On the left of the literary text that we will be focusing on for Year 11 this term and through into the new year, A Christmas Carol, An Inspector Calls, Macbeth, and Unseen Poetry. For the 2021 exams only, we have chosen not to teach the option of anthology poetry. Many students have found this to be one of the most difficult topics, as it involves memorising quotations and context for 18 poems, as well as a comparison question that recalls a poem from memory. So we have decided to focus instead on the other 4 literary texts. Just to talk you through the examinations and dates, I do have to point out that the dates for some examinations are provisional as yet, and the examination content is also subject to confirmation by Ofqual. But you can clearly see there 2 literature examinations before half term as usual, and 2 language examinations after June half term. But the literature GCSE in particular has changed. So for Christ the King students and for all other students in the country actually, the Shakespeare and prose, 1940 and post-1914 prose, Macbeth and Inspector Calls are a compulsory examination. And they will sit that on the 20th of May. And then the second examination, they have an option. As I've said, we are not going to teach the anthology poetry. We're going to focus on A Christmas Carol, which they have already studied, and also Unseen Poetry, which they have studied to some extent, and we will be recapping that with them. Then after the June half term, they have a language paper 1, which is about fiction. They've got 5 comprehension questions on a piece of fiction, and then they will write their own creative fiction. And paper 2 is 2 texts, a modern and a 19th century text. They will be asked comprehension questions on those 2 texts, 6 questions, and then they will write their own 2 transactional non-fiction pieces of writing, such as a speech or a letter. So the run-up then to Christmas, to give you some information, we have half term coming up shortly on the 26th of October, and we return on Monday the 2nd of November. And then about 3 weeks later, Year 11 have their pre-public examinations from Monday the 23rd of November. In terms of assessment, we've just recently reported on a literature assessment on A Christmas Carol, or we'll be doing so this week. But straight after half term, we're going to assess them first week on a piece of non-fiction writing, which is in connection with their language GCSE. And then we will assess them again from the 23rd of November on both language and literature. We will assess them on an Inspector Calls, and we will assess them on a read and comprehension paper for paper 1, which is a piece of 20th century prose fiction, and they have 5 comprehension questions on that. So just to be clear of where we're going before Christmas. Don't worry, we will provide them with all the resources they need to prepare and revise for those assessments. However, if you want to check out some extra resources, or they wish to check out some extra resources, you can Google the exam board for even more digital resources and all course materials. And they even have a copy of what the new examinations will look like for literature on the website. So you can just Google GCSE 9 to 1 English Literature for EDUCAS, or the same for English Language, and you will be taken through to the correct page. BBC Bite Size is also a good starting point. You can specify the exam board again now to make it a little bit more specific. Again, go to EDUCAS, the EDUCAS resources. You can see clearly there A Christmas Carol and An Inspector Call key plot details. So that's a useful start for GCSE. Seneca is widely used throughout the school now. It's a free resource. It's very good in terms of testing recall, so that they can remember plot and key themes and characters and quotations. They are better to ask their teacher for the class code if they're not sure. There should be something posted in the Google Classroom that has been set up for their particular class, because the teacher will, highlight the particular resources they need on Seneca to revise from and set those as revision tasks. And then Quizlet is a free resource. They can log on to Quizlet and search for free quizzes on their topic. So in Inspector Calls, you can look at quotation completion, and there will be some themes, maybe even some language questions. And then finally, we have the CGP revision guides. We had a problem last year because obviously we went into lockdown very quickly and couldn't access the English Tower blog because of building work. So at the moment, I only have Macbeth in stock, but if you wish to order any CGP guides, then order them on Parent Pay by the 31st of October. And once that date is passed, I will order them in for you within a couple of weeks. We will charge £3 for them. They're currently £5.75, £5.85 on various websites. And then there's the same for Christmas Carol and Unseen Poetry. There's an option for that now. There are 2 options as well for English language, a workbook and a revision guide. And then from January onwards, it's revision, revision, revision. Obviously, we're in a good place in terms of what we've covered. So it will be revision on the run-up to their exams, and they will have that very carefully timetabled so that they will enhance what they're doing in class by their own home revision tasks. And any additional support, well, ideally get them to have their own personal copy of each literature text. We have copied an Inspector Calls that we managed to find online, but it's useful if they have their own text. They read widely a little and often. That's really, really good, especially newspapers, because that will be very similar to the content of the language examination in non-fiction. The CGP study guides we've mentioned, and lots of free resources and websites all listed there. Just a reminder of the provisional dates for summer exams again. If you need to contact me, please do email the school, and they will forward the email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But hopefully we've covered the main points about the changes in English and what we need to be doing to support students on the run up to the examinations in 2021. Thank you very much for listening.